Today we have a pair of N62 Continental engines in the shop to have some machine work done, and if you can't already tell, these are pretty small motors. These two came out of Massey-Harris Pony tractors, but the same engine was also used in Allis Chalmers G tractors, as well as some forklifts and other applications to my understanding. I don't know the exact year of these two engines, but I believe the Massey-Harris Pony was only manufactured from around 1947 to 1957, so they are likely around 70 years old. As always, we want to clean the blocks very well so that we can do a thorough inspection before we ever start our machining. As such, the blocks are being torn the rest of the way down, including removing any and all core plugs or oil galley plugs, and stamping our invoice number on each block so that we can identify them. All of the valve guides were also removed, as we are planning on doing complete machine work on these blocks, including a complete valve job, boring and decking, grinding the flywheels, and grinding at least one crankshaft. Forewarning, some of those processes will be shown in today's video, and some of them will come later on as we're still waiting on some tooling and parts to come in. On most cast iron parts like these cylinder blocks, our cleaning process is a combination of thermal and abrasive cleaning. To begin with, all of the parts are baked in our industrial bake oven at around 600 degrees for 4 to 6 hours. This burns off all of the oil, paint, and grease that may be left, leaving the parts completely dry. Once they've been baked, we can blast them in either our glass bead blast cabinet, or for smaller parts we can run them through our steel abrader steel shot blaster, abrasively removing any remaining rust. The second block did still have the oil bypass in, so we removed that before baking, and we're also pressing off the timing gear on the snout of the crankshaft to allow for our cleaning and grinding later on.
I want to just take a quick break right now to let you guys know that today's video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that has the right tools for all the dads this year. Father's Day is right around the corner, and if you're like me, you probably need this reminder that it's time to get your dad the perfect gift, and I'd recommend looking no further than Manscaped and their collection of products. Introducing the Beard Hedger Trimmer, the perfect gift for any dad who likes technology and new gadgets. If your dad's a gearhead like mine, you know he likes a fast-turning motor, and the Beard Hedger has a 7,200 RPM motor and titanium-coated T-blade to cut through the thickest of hair in a single stroke. The trimmer also has a rotary wheel that's built in with 20 different hair cutting lengths, so there's no more need for that messy drawer full of different length guard attachments. It's also cordless and waterproof, so your dad can use it in the shower or at the sink with virtually no mess to clean up later, which I know the lady in your dad's life is gonna love. So don't wait, go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use promo code JAMS20 at checkout. Again, that's 20% off plus free international shipping when you use promo code JAMS20, JAMS20 at checkout. So let's give a big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring today's video and have our dads join the over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped as they have the right tools for your family jewels.
As mentioned earlier, the parts come out of the oven with all of the paint, grease, and grime baked to ash, leaving them completely dry to allow us to complete our glass beading process. I'll be honest, it's not too exciting, and the dust collector even has a rough time keeping up with the dust from blasting the corrosion off of the inside and outside of the block, so we'll move through that quickly. However, once they come out, they do look like brand new castings, although some of that rust is like cancer and starts coming back almost instantly. After doing our magnetic particle inspection and finding no cracks, we're ready to get the block set up on the boring and surfacing mill. While it would be ideal to do it all in one setup, we're only going to bore the blocks today because we don't want to deck them until our valve seat inserts have been installed later on. With the block fixtured level, I set up the bore gauge to the nominal standard bore size, and from the looks of it, there's maybe around 5 thousandths wear at the top of all of the cylinders on this block. With that in mind, we'll put the correct size spindle onto the machine, being sure to line up the drive dogs as we lower the column onto the spindle, and then evenly tighten down all of the nuts. When we set up our cutter, our standard bore size is 2.375 inches, and we're going to go to the first available oversize, which is 20 thousandths over, or 2.395 final bore size. I'm going to leave plenty of room to hone, setting the cutter to 2.390, or 5 thousandths under our finished bore size. We'll center up on each cylinder using the centering finger to indicate, reading the built-in dial indicator on the machine. If we see a large sweep with each turn of the spindle, that means we're not centered, but we can move the X and Y axes of the table until the indicator runs true, at which point we can lock down the table and we're ready to bore. With the spindle stop set on the side of the machine based on the length of the cylinders, we're ready to make our cut. Considering the small diameter and the relatively light cut, we're running at the max spindle RPM of this machine, which is about 630. Really quickly, we wanted to take a moment to remind you all to hit that like button, drop a comment for us as we read and respond to as many as we can, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button so that you'll be around when the next video posts, and as right now, it looks like over 75% of you are not subscribed. At this point it looks great, but we better set up the bore gauge to our final bore size so that we can verify that our cutter is leaving us enough material to finish in the cylinder hone. Looks like we're good to move forward with our cylinder measuring between 4 to 5 thousandths from our finished size.
Oh, you have something to clean?
I'm cleaning up the cookie.
Dad was standing around supervising, so I told him to get to work on grinding the 2 flywheels while I finished boring the first cylinder block. It's a simple process. The flywheel is bolted flat on the mounting flange to the table, and the table rotates as the grinding wheel removes material from the face. The goal is to only take the amount required to clean up to a flat surface, at which point you let the grinder spark out, and you're finished. We always try to do a good job of rinsing the swarf away after each flywheel to keep our grinder as clean as possible. From the looks of it, the second flywheel had a bit more wear than the first, but nothing too crazy. Both flywheels came out looking great, and they should have nice true surfaces for the customer when these tractors go back together. All 4 cylinders on the first block came out great at the rough bore for 20 thousandths oversize, so it'll get taken off of the boring machine and moved over into the cylinder hone to have the cylinders finished out. While we hone the first block, we're also going to be working on boring the second block, although it does have a bit more wear and, more importantly to note, some rust pitting. Being closer to 2-inch diameter than 3-inch, we do have to switch over to what they call the midget hone head on the CV616. We don't do stuff this small very often, so I also had to put in new roughing stones into a set of stone holders. Typically there is a break-in process for new stones, but with having left our rough bore with a conservative 5 thousandths to hone, we have plenty of meat there to not have any problems. We also made the additional adjustments on the machine, including setting the stroke length according to the length of the cylinders, adjusting the block height for the proper overstroke, as well as adjusting our belts for the recommended stroke speed and spindle speed based on the chart. After making a few strokes with the recommended speeds, I decided the crosshatch looked a bit shallow, so I tested 2 different combinations of speeds and finally settled on the one on the far left. After doing some honing, I noticed that the very bottom of the cylinders was not opening up as fast as the top. I first tried dwelling at the bottom, but then decided a better option would be to compensate by adjusting the stroke length and the height of the block to overstroke out the bottom of the bore further than the top, which is one way to will the machine to remove more material from the bottom of the cylinder than the top. Honing with a manual machine like this takes time and patience to get right, as well as requiring the knowledge to understand what is happening with the bore and how you can change the parameters on the machine to compensate and achieve your desired results. At this point, the boring machine has finished the first cylinder, and unfortunately, we still have some of that rust showing through and even a bit of the pitting still. We decided to go ahead and adjust the cutter out another 10 thousandths and see if the cylinder may look a bit better at 30 thousandths oversize. At that point, we did get rid of most of the pitting, but unfortunately that rust penetrates much deeper than just the surface, and more than likely the only way you will ever fully get rid of it is to install a repair sleeve, which quickly adds significant cost to the job. Considering the application, we're comfortable that doing anything more than keeping it at 30 thousandths oversize would yield severely diminishing returns, so we're going to finish it out at 30. The stones we started with are great to rough out the bores and remove material quickly, but we'll put in a finished stone when we get near to our final bore size to leave us with a nicer surface finish. It's hard to tell from the camera, but the finished stone leaves a much smoother finish than the coarse stone. Our goal was to finish the bores to between the nominal oversize and a half thou over that, and we hit it on the money with all of the cylinders coming out on size and straight from top to bottom, well within a half thou, which I was happy with considering the trouble that I had when I first started honing. Each cylinder also gets a few strokes with the plateau brush before the first block can move over into the jet wash to rinse off all of the oil, and the second block can move into the cylinder hone. Having figured out the machine on the first block, the second block went smooth as ever and came out just as nice with the exception of being 30 thousandths oversize instead of 20 thousandths oversize. With the second block finished, I went ahead and completely rinsed the first block and blew it completely dry in an effort to prevent any additional rusting. To be safe, I gave the cylinders a good coat of oil as well. We made some really good progress on these two engines, and there will be a second video covering grinding the crankshaft and cutting the valve jobs just as soon as the new parts come in. Looks like Daisy is calling it a night, and I will as well, so another big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you on the next one.